Without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome to the screen convener of this program, Chantal Wong.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Let me just see. I'm Chantal Wong, pronouns she, her. I'm of Chinese descent with almond-shaped eyes and my hair is tied back. I'm wearing a white top and my background is blurred out, but you can sort of see like a room space studio. I just wanted to see if we all want to take a moment to turn on our cameras, if you're comfortable, and we can just go into, I think it's gallery view, so we could see each other and ground ourselves and see everybody who's here. Amazing. There are 50 people. So, and we're just started. So, hi, everyone. So beautiful. Okay. So back to my script. I've been invited to convene this year's, sorry, I'm just looking to the left because my sort of write out is there. So that's why I'm staring there. I was invited to convene this year's Afield study program as an advisor within the Afield network. So for those of you, I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with Afield, but it is an international network of cultural change makers. And the Afield Studies is one of the programs, apart from there's fellowships and peer programs. Afield Studies is a co-learning program led by members of the network on different topics that bring this community of cultural and artistic social change makers together. I want to also take a moment to recognize who is in this room and who is in this space with us and who isn't with us. The lands and the sites from which we are dialing in from, the peoples who resided on these lands before us, and the waters that host cables that connect us, and the histories that have led us to this moment. Now, I also want to thank you for joining in today from different parts of the world, morning, afternoon, evening, as Abby said, around this topic, the construction of ableism. This discussion comes from a personal sense, we can call it a need, to address the challenges that I have also encountered while trying, naively, to engage with practices of inclusion and access in my work and in my life. What does it mean to live a human-centric, ethical, caring life of inclusion? How do I turn a feeling of wanting to do better, to practice better, into knowledge, grounded knowledge, awareness, sensitivity, into embodied practice and an altering of my daily habits, of language, perception, design, the output of everything, the output of things into this world that I create, the words that I use. And at the same time, what are the limits, challenges, and problematics of this and the questions that I'm asking? Ableism for me is an incredibly powerful term that helps to unmask the entangled systems that serve to reinforce the oppressive conditions of people. Those with disabilities, primarily, but also individuals and groups cast out and exploited, justified by skin color, shape, gender, age, social groups, caste within a caste system, kinship, tribes. So this conversation over 3 chapters and 1 workshop tries to peel back a few layers, just a few. We are very grateful to have incredible people speaking, individuals who spend their lives exposing, rupturing, and holding space against the institutions of ableism. I'm very grateful to speakers who are contributing knowledge from different parts of the world. Brasilia, Hong Kong, Rajasthan, Oaxaca, Havana, Turtle Island, Los Angeles, Sao Paulo, to help expand our knowledge around different designs of ableism, while at the same time finding commonalities of experience. I'm going to take a moment now, a long moment, to thank everyone involved. It's long, but I think it's really important. So the speakers, today we have Amanda Desa Paschaol, Leroy F Moore Jr., Sophie Cheung. On the 2nd, on Thursday of this week, Smita Chakraborty, Yuvia Nisaye. On the 6th, Renata Carvalho, Samuel Riera. And on the 9th, facilitator for the workshop, Terene Fazeli. And everyone that we spoke to and red, who are vital to the framing of this conversation. People who might or might not be in this room right now: Laurindo Garcia, Carmen Yao, Lo Siufong, Nkosikona Svartboy, Jenny Brown, Dora Garcia, Jayampati Guruje, Egan Bidwa, Bina Choi. I'm really sorry also to the closed captioning and translation. This might be very difficult, but thank you for keeping up. Egan Bidwa, Bina Choi, Jael Oria, who's in this room, Mia Mingus, Fiona Kumari Campbell. And Art Review, I want to thank for supporting this program by live streaming on their website. The Afield team, especially Abby and Luz Angela, who are here and supporting with the tech. Our interpreters, working hard to keep up with our pacing, the translations: Rebecca, Talia, Mario, Lisette, Francesca, the team at VTech doing our closed captioning, and many people that we've missed out who have really contributed to the development of the conversation around ableism and disability justice. I'm almost done. I want to acknowledge that the Afield team has been working hard to adapt our practices around access and inclusion. And while we are committed, it is a steep learning curve. And we can only learn as we do. And there's been a lot of learning by doing, and also faltering and forgetting while we've been doing this. So please send us feedback. Let us know if we've omitted something and areas of improvement. You can either email us, or you can put it into the chat room to Abby, Luz Angela, or I throughout the program. We will be collecting questions throughout the presentations for the Q&A at the end. You can directly send them to me in the chat box, Chantal. And now, today, we are extremely lucky to have with us Amanda de Sa Paschaol, dialing from Brasilia, Leroy F Moore Jr. from Los Angeles. It's 8:15 in the morning, so it's quite early. Thank you. Sophie Cheung from London, who will also be speaking about Hong Kong, who are all addressing specific types of institutions, cultural, academic, and legal, that fortify our ableist culture of exclusion and violence. First, Amanda, who is an art educator, an activist, and an autistic woman based in Brasilia. During her childhood, she faced many challenges, which led to her acute awareness of the lack of information about autism. Today, she is leading the fight to expand the visibility of neurodiverse people through training, education, and social media. I hand it over to Amanda. Thank you.
Hello, do you all... oi, esqueci que eu estava em português. Tá, enfim. Vocês estão todo mundo me escutando muito bem? Beleza? Vou aqui compartilhar a minha tela. Isso. Então, a Chantal já me apresentou um pouquinho, mas eu vou ainda falar que eu sou membro da organização não governamental Abraça, que é a Associação Brasileira por Ações pelos Direitos das Pessoas Autistas, né? Que é uma das poucas organizações que é feita por autistas, com pessoas autistas na liderança, principalmente. A gente tem um código de ética também, que a gente não vai apoiar qualquer coisa, né? A gente não vai apoiar alguma coisa que seja contrário aos direitos humanos ou contrário aos direitos das pessoas autistas ou na sua dignidade, né? A gente nasceu com esse propósito, né, de ser uma organização que luta por isso, né? Eu também tenho uma formação em conservação e restauração de bens culturais. Então, uma das minhas áreas de trabalho de atendimento é o ambiente dos museus, né, e de acessibilidade cultural. Inclusive, esse foi o tema do meu trabalho de conclusão de curso de artes visuais. Eu estou aqui, gente, para falar de uma coisa muito mais profunda. Assim, eu vi o tema desse seminário e pensei assim, realmente, capacitismo, uma teoria de tudo? Vamos analisar isso. Como eu adoro mídia, eu vou começar com a cena de um seriado, né? Foi da terceira temporada de House, né? no episódio 4. O nome do episódio foi Lines in the Sand, né? Aqui, a doutora Cameron pergunta, né? Que esse é um episódio que tem um paciente autista. Aí ela, né? Tem lá os pais se lamentando, aí essa médica aí, a doutora Cameron pergunta lá, é tão errado para eles quererem ter um filho normal? É normal querer ser normal. Aí o doutor House fala assim, nossa, você falou como a verdadeira rainha do círculo. Veja, essas pessoas brancas, magras, privilegiadas, elas desenham esse pequeno círculo onde todo mundo dentro dele é considerado normal. E todo mundo fora do círculo deve ser batido, quebrado e resetado para que se possa trazer de volta para dentro do círculo. E, falhando nisso, deveriam ser institucionalizados. E como não estava nessas imagens, mas ele continua. Ou pior, sentir peninha. Né? Mas isso daí não é algo novo. É algo que já foi falado pelo filósofo Michel Foucault, né? Que uma das áreas de estudo dele foi realmente perguntar o que é um comportamento inadequado. Né? E ele estudou pelo método arqueológico, né? Ele mergulhou na história das clínicas, a história da loucura, a história da sexualidade, todos os títulos de livros dele, né? E foi vendo através, né, de várias instituições o que era considerado comportamento inadequado, né? E todos que ele concluiu foi que todo comportamento enquanto anormal, inadequado, inapropriado, é construído pela noção do qual é o comportamento apropriado. Ou seja, não existe nenhuma relação ontológica nisso, que quer dizer, não existe algo em si que determina o que é um comportamento inapropriado. É tudo construção social. Né? É tudo uma questão de valoração da história, política, né? Qual é o discurso que foi ratificado pela comunidade médica, pelos governos, né? E ele também concluiu de que a sociedade, né, esse é o sistema europeu que depois colonizou outros lugares do mundo, visa criar corpos dóceis, que são corpos dispostos a servir o capitalismo, né, a morrer na guerra e fazer o que mandam dele, né? E aí, uma forma que se faz isso é vigiar e punir o comportamento. Inclusive, Vigiar e Punir é o nome de um livro dele. Né? Isso se dá por diversas instituições. Faz pelas escolas, prisões, hospícios, hospitais, o exército. Só estou agora percebendo o erro de grafia, tudo bem. E aí, né, se você tem um comportamento, você vai para a escola para você aprender a se comportar. Se você sai dessa padrão de comportamento, você vai para a prisão, você vai para o hospital, você vai para o hospício, né? Todos esses lugares que visam moldar o comportamento, né? De forma a conseguir um corpo dócil que é responsável, que vai fazer o que se quer, né? Que as pessoas de poder querem. Né? Então, não existe uma verdade absoluta sobre comportamento. Não existe algo que seja intrínseco. Né? Tudo é uma questão de valorização da sociedade. Né? E isso, com certeza, é uma questão de, né, um ataque à diversidade humana, né? Ele já disse que monitorar o comportamento e ficar vigiando, né, sem princípio já era ruim. Mas agora a gente tem mais ciência para entender o quão ruim é isso. Então, como a gente vai, né, ter a expressão do brasileiro chutar cachorro morto, que quer dizer, né, vamos atacar o que já foi atacado ainda mais, para provar ainda mais o quanto isso é ruim, né? Hoje em dia a gente tem noção das funções executivas, que são a forma como o nosso cérebro trabalha o nosso comportamento, né? E faz tarefas e diversas outras coisas. Tem a memória operacional, que é a capacidade de manter, manipular informações mentalmente, possibilitando relacionar, integrar informações, lembrar a sequência e ordens, projetar a sequência e ações futuras, ou seja, é a nossa memória de trabalho, né? A gente está aqui, a gente tem que fazer alguma ação e a gente tem que lembrar o que disseram para a gente ali, quando a gente está fazendo uma tarefa. A gente tem o controle inibitório, que é justamente a gente filtrar pensamentos que não condizem com o que a gente está fazendo, filtrar comportamentos que não vão condizer com o que a gente está fazendo, né? A gente tem a flexibilidade cognitiva, que é a capacidade de mudar o foco, alternar entre tarefas, considerar diferentes perspectivas, né? Tudo isso são funções executivas que todo mundo tem, que todo mundo usa, né? E como alguns de vocês podem perceber, pessoas com TDAH vão ter muita dificuldade nisso, né? É o clássico, mas a disfunção executiva, que é a dificuldade do controle da função executiva, acontece em diversas neurodivergências. Acontece no autismo, acontece com Alzheimer, deve acontecer também com síndrome de Down, diversos. E aqui temos uma lista não extensiva das funções executivas, do que elas fazem no nosso cérebro, né? Elas definem qual é o problema, qual a necessidade, elas definem qual a motivação e o direcionamento do que a gente vai fazer, a gente monitora o progresso, a gente tem autorregulação, né? A gente tem a capacidade de iniciar ações, né? Então, pessoas procrastinadoras, está aí a sua disfunção executiva, né? Tem que ter a flexibilidade de pensamento, tem que sustentar o esforço do que você está fazendo, você tem que aplicar o conhecimento, definir objetivos, manter a concentração enquanto está fazendo aquilo, né? Tomar decisões, tem que terminar a tarefa, completar ela, tem que organizar e priorizar, né? Todas essas coisas que o nosso cérebro está fazendo, gerenciar o tempo, fazer ajustes, correções, avaliar os resultados, desenvolver o plano, gerenciar recursos, pedir ajuda, inclusive. Teve gente que tem dificuldade de reconhecer que está tendo problemas e tem dificuldade de pedir ajuda, tem que planejar as melhorias, todos esses processos super complicados que o nosso cérebro faz e que pessoas neurodivergentes vão ter problemas nessas áreas, especialmente essas duas que eu botei em vermelho, que são iniciar ações e ter uma autorregulação. Como acontece no cérebro de uma pessoa neurotípica, né? Eu estou aqui com o meu casaco, que está fazendo recorde de frio, tem uma onda de frio aqui no Brasília, né? E uma pessoa neurotípica, ela ia parar de sentir o casaco depois de um tempo, né? Quando um estímulo sensorial não está mais sendo útil, o cérebro vai lá e ignora. Pessoas com transtorno de processamento sensorial, pessoas neurotípicas, isso não acontece. O cérebro está sempre sentindo, vendo, cheirando, ouvindo tudo o tempo todo, né? E nunca desliga. Então, você imagina o quanto que isso não tem de sobrecarga. E agora vamos ver como exatamente isso afeta uma pessoa, né, neurodivergente que tem a disfunção executiva. Vamos imaginar duas crianças, né? Uma neurotípica com a função executiva normal, né? Então, ela já começa, sei lá, vamos imaginar que a gente possa quantificar isso em pontinhos. Vamos dizer que ela tem 100 no total, e ela está lá na escola para aprender matemática. Então, ela tem que dedicar um pouco dessa função executiva do cérebro dela para a autodisciplina de fazer as coisas que são esperadas de regras. Tipo, você tem que ficar sentado na sua cadeira, você não pode conversar com seus colegas, você tem que estar fazendo o seu exercício, né? E vamos dizer que ela gaste 20 disso para fazer a sua autodisciplina. E ainda ela sobra 80 pontos para aprender matemática. Agora vamos pensar numa criança com disfunção executiva, né? Ou seja, ela já começa com desvantagem, vamos dizer que ela começa com 70, né? E aí você ainda quer esperar dela que não só tenha todas essas inibições de comportamento que se espera de criança típica, mas até inibições de comportamento que são naturais de uma pessoa neurotípica, como, por exemplo, os STINs, né? A comunidade autista prefere esse nome do que a estereotipia, que são esses comportamentos repetitivos, que pode ser maculalia, repetição de palavras, pode ser o próprio os movimentos repetitivos, e a gente usa essas coisas para manejar, principalmente o nosso sensorial, né? E aí você quer que ela vai gastar ainda mais com autodisciplina, porque ela tem que regular tanto a sua disciplina, que é a espera de todos, quanto mais a outra. Então, ela está gastando muito mais, já começando com menos. Vamos dizer que ela gasta seus 40 pontos, né, com autodisciplina, e aí só sobra 30 para ela resolver matemática, né? Ou seja, ela está ainda mais desvantagem ainda nesse sistema. E aí eu vou explicar, né? Foi um conceito, eu vou acabar pronunciando de forma errada o nome dele, mas foi Hal Balsmer, que criou o conceito de depelação do ego, de que, né, a gente só tem essa quantidade limitada de função executiva para fazer todas as coisas que se espera de fazer, né? Ele fez um experimento que era assim, pegar um grupo de crianças para resolver o exercício de matemática com um potinho de doces na frente. Aí um grupo de crianças poderia comer esses doces, outro só ficava olhando e não podia comer. E aí, qual é que você imagina que teve os melhores resultados em matemática? O que podia comer, né? Porque a criança já estava gastando mais função executiva para poder resistir a comer aqueles doces. E estava sobrando menos para resolver os problemas de matemática, né? E aí, se vocês quiserem aprofundar mesmo nisso, eu recomendo o livro, talvez pronunciei errado o nome de novo, mas do Neil Kaufman, que é o Rápido e Devagar, Duas Formas de Pensar, que ele, né, diz que a gente tem esses dois sistemas. O sistema 1, que é um sistema de pensamento rápido, que a gente faz as coisas que são muito mais automáticas, e o sistema 2, que é o sistema devagar, que a gente tem que parar para pensar, né? E esses dois sistemas estão bebendo da mesma fonte de função executiva do nosso cérebro, né? E alguns exemplos de, né, coisas que são devagar e coisas que são rápidas, né? Se você pergunta... E como isso é muito relativo de pessoa para pessoa, né? Normalmente, se você pensar 2 mais 2 igual a 4, isso é um sistema rápido, né? Mas se você for fazer uma conta super complexa, você vai ter que parar para pensar, isso é um sistema devagar. Se você simplesmente completar uma frase, pão com, sei lá, pão com manteiga, pão com geleia, né? Seu cérebro vai bem rápido nisso, né? Agora, se você está aprendendo uma nova língua, isso é sistema devagar, né? E às vezes, né, se você for pegar um exemplo de uma coisa que puxa tanto o sistema 2 que ele para o sistema 1, não sei se você já ouviu, teve essa experiência, tipo, de estar andando e alguém te fala alguma coisa super complexa que você tem que parar para pensar, você literalmente para de andar. Seu cérebro não consegue lidar com, né, mesmo com uma coisa que seja tão simples e banal quanto andar, porque está ocupando tanto do seu sistema 2, né? Outro exemplo de coisa rápida, né? Ler uma palavra numa tela grande, né? Tipo, uma publicidade do lado de um prédio. Ou sistema devagar, você lê e escrever um texto complexo, né? Alguma coisa rápido, andar, uma coisa devagar, você aprender a dança de salão, né? Agora, né, como um exemplo como isso é tão relativo de uma quatro pessoas, se você pegar, né, eu esqueci o nome da personagem, mas que teve o Gambito da Rainha da Netflix, para ela encontrar a jogada vencedora do xadrez é sistema rápido, ela nem pensa sobre isso. Agora, uma pessoa com deficiência, com várias funções executivas, para ela tomar banho e se vestir corretamente, vai ser um sistema 2 devagar. Né? Porque tem tantas etapas ali que o cérebro dela precisa parar para pensar em todos os detalhes. Então, um erro muito comum que as pessoas atribuem é achar que esses instintos, né, esses comportamentos diferentes que a gente tem, são sistema 2, que a gente está parando para pensar para fazer isso, porque eles, os neurotípicos, não fazem automaticamente. Então, eles acham que para a gente não é automático, mas para a gente é sistema 1, para a gente ocupa pouco espaço, né? Essa questão, o sistema rápido, ele ocupa pouco espaço, para quem entende computador, seria, tipo, pouco espaço da memória RAM, né? E aí, pelo contrário, se a gente for parar para inibir o nosso comportamento, né, como eu mostrei no exemplo anterior, que isso ocupar o nosso sistema devagar, que a gente tem que ficar pensando o tempo todo, não posso fazer isso, não posso me mexer dessa forma, não posso me organizar desse jeito. E aí isso, assim, atrapalha a aprendizagem. Então, né, estudando um pouco de história, né, a gente vê que toda a minoria, né, todo o pessoal que foi colonizado, que foi oprimido, ela tem o seu comportamento vigiado o tempo todo, né? E a gente é muito mais opressor esse vigiar e punir o comportamento com as pessoas que são de minorias. E outra coisa que eu percebo que acontece o tempo todo, né? toda minoria é chamada de preguiçosa e imoral, né? Todo comportamento que foge do padrão estabelecido, né, por um colonizador, pelas pessoas daquele círculo da normalidade, é considerado preguiçoso e imoral. Ah, os indígenas são preguiçosos, eles não trabalham. Ah, os negros são preguiçosos. Ah, o pessoal que é daquele outro país, os imigrantes são preguiçosos. Você percebe que isso é uma constante, né, do preconceito. Né? E todos os sistemas de poder que a gente criou, incluindo teste de QI, né? Essa classificação entre as eficiências intelectuais foram feitos para favorecer as pessoas que já estão no poder, né? Quem é que criou o que é a normalidade? Quem está lá no círculo, quem está lá no centro do círculo. Então, o tema desse seminário é totalmente real. O capacitismo é a origem de tudo, é a origem do racismo, do machismo, da homofobia, da xenofobia, do colonialismo, né? Todos os comportamentos que são desviantes do padrão, né, têm essa origem capacitista, né, de considerar os que estão fora do comportamento padrão como inferiores. E todas são variações da ideia que existe, né, a pessoa padrão, o comportamento padrão, e que esses são os superiores a todos. E aí a questão é, como a gente pode mudar isso? Inclusive, né, pessoas do meio de saúde, pode ser um tanto chocante para eles perceber que o que eles estavam tentando fazer de ajudar, né, eles podem estar atrapalhando a vida da pessoa. Então, vamos lá. O que é um paradigma, né? Vocês conseguem entender esta imagem olhando para ela? Conseguem entender o que está acontecendo aí? Enquanto vocês refletem sobre isso, eu vou falar. O paradigma é uma forma da gente entender um conceito ou uma ideia, né? Como, por exemplo, muito antigamente se tinha um paradigma do geocentrismo. Eles achavam que a Terra ficava no centro do sistema e todos os outros planetas, Sol, Lua, tudo girava ao redor da Terra, né? E aí depois a gente mudou para um paradigma do heliocentrismo, entender que o Sol fica no centro e os outros planetas giram ao redor dele. Então, paradigma é você mudar a sua perspectiva para entender as coisas... Opa! Peraí. Como é que volta? Hello. Aí. Para você entender de uma forma diferente o que está acontecendo e você ter uma perspectiva diferente. Então, quando você muda o paradigma, certas questões param de fazer sentido, né? Se você, tipo, qual é a volta de Mercúrio ao redor da Terra, não faz mais sentido no paradigma do heliocentrismo. Então, se você sair do paradigma da normalidade, da normalização, você entende melhor como melhor atender as pessoas, né? Por exemplo, dentro do paradigma da normalidade, uma forma de você, né, colocar uma criança que tem uma paralisia, né, e que o corpo fica rígido, você vai procurar deixá-la de uma forma padrão da normalidade, como se sentar numa cadeira, e aí prende ela de todas as formas. Essa ilustração foi tirada do livro que tem o nome de Nada sobre Nós Sem Nós, né, que é um lema das pessoas com deficiência, que... né, fala sobre apoios de mobilidade, de suporte, né, especialmente para pessoas com paralisia cerebral, mas outras deficiências também adjacentes. E aí tem um exemplo, né? Aqui, o paradigma da normalidade vai dizer para você colocar a criança de uma forma que ela pareça sentar normalmente, vai prender ela de todas as formas ali. Mas é que se você tem um paradigma de dar autonomia para ela, né? Autonomia é você ser capaz de tomar suas próprias decisões, né? Não somente fazer coisas sozinho, mas né? Porque às vezes a pessoa precisa de um apoio para fazer as coisas, mas mesmo assim isso continua sendo autonomia, né? Que a questão é tomar decisões, né? Então, você tem foco na autonomia, você vai dar só o suporte que ela precisa, né? Para que ela tenha esses movimentos. Aqui, no caso, ela precisou de um assento reclinado e um apoio no pé, né? E aí está dizendo no final, né, que a criança não é um saco de batatas, né? Ela não está lá só para ser presa de uma forma padrão. Ela tem que ter movimento, ela tem que poder olhar ao redor dela, ela tem que, né, mexer com as coisas que estão ao redor. Então, tem, né, essa questão do nada sobre nós sem nós, que é lema do movimento das pessoas com deficiência, né? E aí eu vou ler, né, como é que isso pode ser tão forte de a gente presumir a incompetência de que não se comporta de forma padrão, né? Eu vou ler um trecho que é escrito pelo Ido Kedar, que é um autista não falante, nível 3, né, que é o que precisa de suporte para todas as atividades do dia a dia, né? E ele disse assim, olha, para os meus instrutores, isso que eu teria falado para eles quando eu era pequeno, meu corpo não está completamente sob o controle da minha mente. Eu sei a resposta certa para esses emocionantes cartões de gravuras, mas, infelizmente, a minha mente também não está totalmente sob meu controle. Meu corpo ignora os meus pensamentos com frequência. Eu olho para os cartões. Você me pede para mostrar a árvore, por exemplo. E, embora eu consiga diferenciar claramente entre a árvore, a casa, o menino ou qualquer outro cartão que você me mostre, a minha mão nem sempre me obedece. A minha mente está gritando, não aponte para casa. A minha mão vai para casa. Suas anotações dizem, Ido estava nervoso na sessão hoje. Claro, frustração normalmente ocorre quando você não pode mostrar sua inteligência e forças neurológicas impedem a comunicação entre a mente e o corpo. Mas os especialistas, então, concluem que não estamos processando a fala humana de forma cognitiva. Ou seja, ele tinha um problema, né, neurológico, da qual a mão dele apontava para a resposta errada, e a conclusão dos terapeutas é que ele não sabia a diferença entre uma árvore, uma casa e um menino, né? Porque aquilo ali foi tudo sistemas feitos de terapia planejados para um molde do comportamento, e não para, né, dar autonomia à pessoa, né? E no caso dele, autista, não
Amanda, I think
falante.
we'll have to wrap up in about a minute.
Certo.
If that's okay.
Sim, já estou aqui para finalizar. Então, vamos descolonizar a deficiência, né? Sair do padrão né, do que foi colonizado, do imposto que a gente deve saber sobre deficiência. Nada sobre nós sem nós. Lema dos direitos das pessoas com deficiência, né? Da nossa luta política, né? Saber sobre entender o modelo social e o modelo baseado em direitos humanos da deficiência, né? Que é que a deficiência ocorre no meio social. Fazer a presunção de competência, né? Presumir que a pessoa entende, presumir que, né, que foi o oposto do que aconteceu com o Ido, né? Entender que comportamento não é algo a ser controlado, comportamento é comunicação, especialmente para as pessoas que não usam a fala, né? E eu realmente acredito que nós podemos fazer melhor. Fazer escolas melhores, hospitais melhores, museus melhores, sociedades melhores, se a gente mudar o nosso paradigma. E é isso aqui. Vou finalizar aqui. Obrigada a todas. Tchau, tchau.
Thank you so much, Amanda. And I'm sorry to have rushed at the end. I want to make sure that people can leave after an hour and a half of this. Yes, housekeeping. So just for people who joined us a little bit late, please make sure that you've chosen a language channel at the bottom. Otherwise, you won't be able to hear translations. And even if you prefer English, you will need to select English. Otherwise, we won't be able to translate into English for you. But yeah, and thank you. The next speaker, I'm honored to introduce Leroy F Moore Jr., who's an African-American writer, poet, community activist, and feminist. Leroy is one of the founders of Crip Hop, a movement that uses hip hop music as a means of expression for people with disabilities. He currently is a UCLA PhD student in linguistics and anthropology and key member of UCLA Hip Hop Study Group. He co-authored a children's book called Black Disabled Art History 101, and I was very lucky to encounter his work in Frankfurt earlier at the end of last year, and it was very moving. And if there's any questions for Amanda, if you want to hear more, we will have a Q&A session at the end and we can reconvene there to elaborate. Over to you, Leroy.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thanks, everybody. So my description, I'm a Black man with gray hair. I'm sitting in my living room with two paintings behind me, Quip Hop paintings. I'll describe those later. I'm wearing a red Quip Hop t-shirt. It says Quip Hop. And yes, I'm in LA on the Native American land. So I want to shout out to my disabled ancestors, to the founders of disability justice, to Quip Hop founders and UCLA Hip Hop Study Group, and my advisor on H. Sammy Alim. So the title of this presentation is Quip Hop Terminology Education in the Community. Why and what will be Quip Hop Institute. This presentation will be a mixed media presentation with videos and audios and clips. I do have a bad habit of packing my presentation, so I might have to shorten videos or shorten the presentation. So, okay, so let's go. I'm a graduate student in linguistic anthropology, so language is really important to me. And language for people with disabilities, a little bit of history before I get into the meat of the presentation. Of course, people with disabilities were under control of everybody else except themselves. So the language was shaped by institutions, shaped by doctors, shaped by everybody except people with disabilities. Until the disability rights movement, the parents movement, and recently disability justice movement. So we are taking back the language. Most of the time, the language is oppressive and has been hurtful. But because I'm in hip hop and Quip Hop, we take back those language, we flip it like hip hop do, and use it as an educational tool, and use it as lyrics, and also recognize that this is our history, this is our ancestors, this is what they had to live through. And so we take back those language in our control, in our history, and flip it to society. So the first video that you're gonna see is called The Dozens, and a lot of people know about The Dozens. The Dozens is really an African American game or survival technique where people come up with verbal expression. You see it in hip hop, and you see it in comedians, but the dozens was also used in slave ships. So KRS-One, the hip hop OG, discussed the dozens, and this really fit me out because I really, for the first time, realized that people with disabilities were the bones of hip hop. It started with people with disabilities. So KRS-One is going to explain that.
Get their notoriety through battling, meaning that back in the days, we used to call it slaves were sold one by one unless there was a defect. Their leg was hurt, an arm was severed, mental issues, maybe sick. Those people were sold in a dozen. So slaves would start going back and forth with each other saying, well, your head's bigger than your neck, and that makes you a lollipop. Ah, your mother is so this, I could do that. Ah, and everybody would laugh at you, which then eventually became the dozens. So the idea of battling coming out of this tradition called the dozens, where you verbally attack your opponent and your opponent verbally attacks you until somebody breaks down and either wants to fight, cries, whatever it is, or a judge deems the battle won by either opponent. This trickles over into rapping. It was Zulu Nation that first brought up the idea of we don't have to shoot at each other or beat on each other or this. We can actually use this tradition of the dozens to actually have verbal warfare through art.
So yes, to sit with that for a moment. Sit with that. People with disabilities started this what we call hip hop. You know, of course, it started under oppression on those slave ships, but it started with people with disabilities. I think nobody has wrote about that. You know, Chaos wouldn't talk about it, but through my research, nobody has wrote about the connection of the dozens disability in hip hop. So I hopefully in my dissertation will talk about that, but that's really important to understand. Let's bring up queer hop. Like I said in language, queer hop turns language on its head. So queer hop has a fact sheet, and in that fact sheet, you know, has, you know, the term Afro crip. And people are like, what's Afro crip? And, you know, we know about, you know, Afro Brazilian, Afro Haitian, Afro Puerto Rican. But we should also know that people with disabilities, the experience is international, it's not only the US. So knowing that there's Afro people with disabilities around the world, I decided to come up with the term Afro crip as an umbrella to Black and brown disabled people from around the world. So that's Afro crip. The next terminology is Black ableism. And unfortunately, in the Black community, Black ableism is stopping us, Black people, to really come together and organize and support each other. The reason why Black ableism is still there, I say because of the racism in the disability community, that you know, the disability community is now in disability studies, disability culture, disability arts, and that's a really good thing. But the Black community is still behind in the medical model of disability. The medical model of disability is like, oh, we'll heal you, you know, and you can overcome your disability. So the Black community is still in the medical model, religious model of disability. Religious model of disability is like, we'll pray for you, we'll heal you. And all of this comes from slavery. So it's not the Black community's fault. It's the institution of slavery that they got us that viewpoint of disability. And because of racism in the disability community, the Black community never got that education of you know, going from the medical model to now disability justice model. So I always say that it's up to the Black community and the Black disabled community with disability justice to have that campaign where we could you know, uplift the Black community and bring them to the stage of, you know, display rights, display justice, and display arts and culture. So that has to happen with us. It can't happen with anybody else. So that's that. I want to go on to, you know, how do we get there? You know, a lot of people talk about theory and talk about books, but how do we get from, you know, pity or overcoming to what I call becoming politically and culturally disabled? And those are three different things. You know, pity, everybody knows about pity. You know, Jerry Lewis telethon, you know, everybody knows that. But how do we, you know, not only becoming disabled, but becoming politically and culturally disabled? So there's a SoundCloud link that I would like to play that talks about the hip hop process to get to becoming politically and culturally disabled. So let's play that. Hello, my name is Leroy Moore from Crip Hop Nation with a K. I want to talk today about the building process to get to Crip Hop Nation's politics for the Black community in the U.S. and internationally. This might be too radical, but I don't think the non-disabled Black community is ready for intersectionality when it deals with disability, because we as the Black community as a whole need to be more politicalized on Black disabled activism, history, pride, art, self-empowerment by Black disabled activists who have strong empowerment and are politicalized. But at the same time, the door needs to be open. In this community, education and empowerment should be well funded, and other resources throughout the Black and Brown and artistic communities with new organizations, collectives, and scholars. I think the Black community are skipping steps to get to intersectionality when it deals with disability. These steps that the Black community did not get before, during, and after the disability rights, cultural, and art movements, including pride, self-empowerment, and political education, have left the Black community behind due to racism. To get to Queer Pod Nation's politics, we must see it as a building process that might take a while to go through if the person is at a stage to question mainstream and to unlearn what has been forced on them about disability. From erasure to exploitation to pity to overcoming to identity politics to self-empowerment to seeing ourselves politically and culturally through speaking, singing, rapping, writing, and most importantly, living within activist musicians and as allies. Through song, poetry, visual arts, and writing, we realize that we are stepping up in helping to correct how society views us as persons with a disability or artists with disabilities. And at the same time, we know we wear many hats when we want to advocate and we just want to be. We also recognize our ancestors and founders, from the blues to hip hop to civil rights, knowing that today we are building on what they built. Okay, and at the same time, can you cut it there?
We have 4 minutes left.
Okay, yeah.
Thank
Sorry, cut it there.
Okay.
So let's go on to show the news article from UCLA, that link. So what this is, it talks about the new hip hop studies and the new hip hop initiatives at UCLA. I bring this up because UCLA and my advisor, Sammy Alim, has really taken the forefront of putting hip hop and disability center stage in this new hip hop initiative. That's huge, people. That's really huge. To have disability as the center stage of one of the center stage of this new hip hop initiative at UCLA. So I just wanted to show that. I mean, that's how it's my education and my writings and my writings and my work has changed institutions like UCLA and other. So that's a good opportunity. So I want to go on to I want to show a book cover of Black Disabled Art History 101. And this is a book cover of a book. And I'm not going to show the video, but the book, Black Disabled Art History 101. And you talk about how institutions can really support community scholars. Emily Nashabon used to work at University of San Francisco, and she came to me because she's also a community activist, and she's like, Leroy, let's teach your book. So she had me come into University of San Francisco and teach this book for a whole semester. So once again, that's changing the institution.
Sorry, I need to interrupt. Could all the interpreters make sure they're speaking in the correct channels? Thank you. Sorry, Leroy.
Okay. So I really want to leave you today with a letter to hip hop. And this is a letter from hip hop. It's an MP3. I really want you to listen to it. It talks about, what's going to be in the Hip Hop Institute. That's one of my goals of my PhD, is to open up a Hip Hop Institute in the community where we will take over a building and we will have not only hip hop, but we will teach the Black community and disability community around technology, hip hop politics. And it's going to be an international hub because hip hop is international. So we are looking to open this before the Olympics come to LA because we won an Emmy for our song with the Paralympics called Rising Phoenix. So we're going to use that to really support the Paralympians that will be here after the Olympics and they can come to the Hip Hop Institute. So let's play this letter and thank you for having me.
Ha ha ha! I'm the Black Crippled. You are listening to Crip Hop Radio, where we cover everything around disability from a radical perspective, from music to art to politics, from Africa to the UK to the US to Brazil. Check it out, Crip Hop Radio with me, the Black Crippled.
Hey, what's up? My name is Keith Jones. I'm the co-founder of Hip Hop Nation. Hip Hop Nation is more than music. It's about cultural activism by artists with disabilities from around the world. Hip hop is more than just music.
Yeah, that was right.
I don't know if you were saying something, Leroy. Okay, no, that was the recording. Sorry, I was a bit confused. Okay, thank you so much, Leroy. That was so rich, and just the video link for the video on Black disabled art history is actually in the participation guide, but we can also share it into the chat if you want to watch it. I think it's quite short, right? It's just a few minutes.
Yeah, just a few minutes.
Yeah.
And if people want to go back to SoundCloud and listen to the whole Dear Hip Hop letter, it's there.
Thank you. So we'll just add it into the chat, and thank you. Next, I'm again housekeeping. If anybody, remember to choose your language channels. English if you prefer English. So basically everybody needs to choose a preferred language channel, English, Spanish, or Portuguese. Otherwise, your sound will be disrupted. Finally, I want to introduce Sophie, who is an activist and artist who works in art and human rights sector. She's specialized in UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities since 2012. She has struggled with the language of legalistic morality beyond mental morality beyond mental incapacitation. I'm like trying to speed up because I'm afraid of time, but I shouldn't. I start fumbling. Now she treats law as an artistic medium for resubjectifying people and herself. She's currently finishing an MA in Applied Anthropology and Community Arts at Goldsmiths and writing her dissertation about decolonizing madness, a comparative study on mental health and legal capacity between Hong Kong and Britain. So over to you, Sophie. And I'm just going to keep putting the time in the chat, sorry, just so that you keep aware of that, because otherwise I'll keep disrupting.
Thank you so much. Thank you for Chantal for inviting me to speak here. For a kindly introduction, I'm so excited to speak in front of all incredible people. My topic is about language, power in ideology. Actually, I bring ableism and legalism together, study together. Actually, mental incapacitation or mental incapacity, there is a very complicated subject area because it gets involved with intersectional study, including natural law theories, medical humanities, disability study, and community study. So in my presentation, I emphasize on two questions. One question is, what are similarities and differences about mental health problems and legalism, legal capacity between Hong Kong and Britain? And other question is, what is the role of community arts can be playing in this colonizing approach? So jump to my PowerPoint. I want to sew up the favorite quote. So yeah, next one. This one. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. That is my favorite quote from Liquid Modernity. There is a wild and growing gap between the condition of individual de jure and their chances to become individuals de facto. That is to gain control over their fate and make the choices they truly deserve. So this is very inspiring to me because how to create or produce conditions of individual, how to transform our lived experience to the capacity or the true self in our own life. That's a question I always thinking of. So next one. And in fact, in my work experience over 10 years, I found that about mental incapacitation, some people, including expertise, think that that is a human nature, but actually that is a legal judgment. And why there is the article in CRPT, Article 12. It is about equal regulation before the law. And it affirmed the right to equal regulation. So mental incapacitation, the conception of that has violated our right to gain equal regulation before the law. And there is the general comment released in 2014, that is a stated perceived or actual difference in mental capacity must not be used as justification for denying legal capacity. And what is legal capacity? That is the ability to hold rights and duty in terms of legal standing and to exercise those rights and duty as a legal agency. So on the other hand, mental capacity refers to the decision-making skills of a person. It may be changed or diversified in different life stages, depends on many factors. So when there is the very cutting edge Article 12 released in the world in 2008, there is so many discussion. In the past few years, there are a growing number of countries practicing to waive all the restriction or the limitation on legal capacity, including abolish mental incapacitation. So on the other hand, and other issues about denying legal capacity is involuntary omission, forced psychiatric treatment. So, but however, this mostly perceived as a medical necessary in Hong Kong. So next one. I'm bringing a unique legislation history beyond. So that is the very unique legislation history about mental incapacity. In fact, there is the term mental handicap introduced in Hong Kong in the critical year 1997. That is the year of handover of Hong Kong. In that year, the mental health ordinance includes the new term mental handicap. In fact, that is abolished in Britain. Our colonial governments before 1997. There is a report from the Law Reform Commission of Hong Kong. A Dr. Cheung, who is a psychiatrist, sharing that in fact the provision of mental handicap is required by the civil society, by the parents of the intellectual disability, because they think that it should be mental handicap should be created and partly taken away from the original umbrella term, mental disorder, so as not to so-called stigmatize the mentally handicapped as mentally ill. That is the history. And next one. Actually, that is the influence from the legal case happened in 1993. There is a sexual assault. That is a deaf girl experienced sexual assault in community care home. So that At that period, over the period, the parents of intellectual disability urge government to provide legal protection for those people. So the mental handicap has introduced that time. But on the other hand, next one. This is justified. Mentally incapacitated, the concept of mental incapacity into two groups people. So you can see that is the mental health ordinance, part 1, article 2. Mental incapacity means mental disorder and mental handicap. So you can see just grouped two different kinds of disability together is produce a form of ableism. This one. In fact, there is a long-standing debate over the introduction of community treatment order in Hong Kong. I think there is the prejudice about violence. So many people think that violence in the community, in the public space, that is the act of the person with mental illness. So during the whole period between 2008 and 2013, there is very long discussion about introducing community treatment orders and take reference from the UK and Australia, and that is the mental health review report we published in 2017. In the chapter 5 is still suggests revisiting introduction of community treatment order when necessary. So government doesn't think about how to abolish community compulsory psychiatry treatment. That is the situation in Hong Kong. This one. So in my patterns, I study in the aspect of logistic modernity in legalism. I designed a community arts program. It's called Unlocking Label Mental Incapacity between 2020 and 21. That is conducted both in Hong Kong and London. So in this program, I'm trying to resuscitate people in pain with everyday and legal language. And in this programming, this aims to recreate de facto. How to do that? There is the thought about law, legalism, and ableism. I try to break through that by treating law as an assistive medium, and we also find that material can be symbolized as a identity expression. On the other hand, I also focus on imaginary maternity. That is the phrase created by these scholars Paul Hurt. This one. Yeah, that is the highly recommend reading. One is on law and ideology. So that is very classic legal anthropology reading. So in his discourse, so ideology or social relations can be a representation of imaginary modernity. That is the published in 1979. I highly recommend for the Hong Kong people because that is the period after Cultural Revolution in mainland China. And actually, law as an artistic medium, that is the idea introduced in a book, Art Against the Law. That is the book published in Chicago in the U.S. This one.
3 minutes left, Sophie.
Okay, so in my book that is called Disability Theory. So I triggered by the words how we use it, experience, and I heard about a person state himself as a experienced person in mentally ill recovery. So I think identity formation is a very interesting topic, but how we use the words describe this one. So because time is up, so that is the storytelling in my workshop. One session is name story. That is a story from Cheung. That Cheung, the given name is the very popular Chinese name. That is Indian in Chinese culture. That means one who trims his sail to the wind is a wise man. But Cheung, he gives the name just like a reminder that he is very difficult to meet the expectation, the standard of wise men in the society. In fact, Cheung is a person with diagnosis autism. So you can see he just transferred his name into open-end question. This one. And in performance, I think that they very wisely use the words. Cheung was playing the roles of MIP, and the performance expressed about prejudice beyond the concept of mentally incapacitated. So and they think when the person have their own spirit, and the society think the people may have illness, and once the person can have capacity, and the society will think that the person with disability are violent. Yeah, this one. So
we will have to wrap up imminently, because
okay.
otherwise we already have only 5 minutes for questions.
So this one. In my study in Britain, this is so powerful, so impactful for me, because there is long-standing history about decolonizing methods in art and cultural activism. And the color, the is not only a color of skin. There is statement made by the organization. They say that black is a political expression representing the arts and culture. So I think that is completely different from Hong Kong, because the black community engagement, we always are not, and mental health problems are rooted in social injustice, racism, and racial drama. So next one, maybe jump to the next one. That is organization, and then in the program, in the historical study, I found that this decolonizing approach is introduced in the legislative reform. So this one. And the most inspiring to me is the UK disability arts and rights movement. They formed the model changing, especially after 2000. There is the affirmative model conducted in the UK. So no comparison with the others is the spirit in the arts and rights movement in disability sector. The next one.
Can we include these in the question and ask, because yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. The last one I want to discuss, that is the self-advocates and artists in the UK. That is about the organizer of Mad Pride, and then I can jump to the last screen. Yeah, jump to the last slide. Yeah. That is the program, storytelling. I call it last year. I found that there is a stay in eraser story. We can the eraser story and the other word scope we defined. I found that in the UK the violence is different from the Hong Kong, because they think that violence can be treated as a terrorism. So and the handicapped is very outdated term. So I found that in the comparative study, how to strengthening de facto and to resist ableism or legalism. That is my way to respond the limitation produced by the law or any social issues. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sophie, and sorry again for interrupting. Yeah, it was just the schedules of the interpreters and the captions, so I just unfortunately have to limit it. I actually just wanted to take some questions from the audiences, and I know we don't have too much time, but maybe 2 or 3 for Amanda and Leroy and Sophie. So this is for everyone from Julie. So thank you for a wonderful presentation. Oh, and if you wanted to either just raise your hand with the emojis, reactions at the bottom, or you can type them into the chat. So this one is from Julie. Thank you for your wonderful presentations. And I really appreciate that this series is challenging the US centricity and Anglo centricity within the disability justice movement. My question is, what would a transnational and multilingual version of disability justice look like? And is it even possible or appropriate to apply the disability justice model to non-US or non-Western or non-English contexts where disability histories and activism differ? I am asking as a multilingual, white, disabled Canadian who has friends all over the world. I don't know if. So it's in the chat if you wanted to take a look, and if Amanda, Leroy, or Sophie want to jump in.
I'll speak quickly about what CripHop has done. CripHop is an international network, and you know, we involve people when people are politically ready at that stage. We don't do one-on-one. A lot of other people do one-on-one, but we support, you know, artists that are politically active, and we support them around getting to disability justice. So how does that look like in Tanzania? The Tanzania chapter has worked with CripHop hand in hand, and we have given them like writing, you know, exercise. We talk constantly. You know, we talk to their parents. We use basic language. So that's, I mean, that's how we do it. It's a long process, but I think that's how to build it internationally.
Anybody else, Sophie or Amanda? Otherwise, we can take another question. I'm happy to chime in with one. Leroy mentioned that not being ready for intersectionality. I mean, if I don't want to misquote, so correct me if I'm wrong, but not being ready for intersectionality. Black disabled people need to go through this very specific disability and Blackness process. Do you, Amanda and Sophie, do you feel like it's also that conversation is not ready for intersectionality?
Yeah. May I speak up?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so, because after studying in Goldsmith, as you know, Goldsmith is very significant university to avoid intersectional research, but in my study, or especially in Hong Kong, I think that why the Hong Kong higher education is not ready for intersectional research, because the pathway or the employment after the degree finish or complete, that is the concerns by the Hong Kong people, rather than chasing for the new language, so or knowledge. So that is a reason, and I found that because in art field, I found that we are anointed or marginalized Black people, especially in Hong Kong, because Black people are very found in Hong Kong. So many Black people are refugees. So it's difficult to encourage my Hong Kong friends to join this even difficult to encourage my Hong Kong friends to join this conference to this discussion. So that is boundary I experienced. Yeah.
Leroy, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that you know, my vision of intersectionality, I believe intersectionality has always been there. I think we have to get outside of academia talk. You know, the person that really turned that term, that didn't happen in the community way before that term was, you know, acknowledged in academia. I saw it in my father's Black Panther meetings. When I used to go to the meetings, I saw it with my mom, you know, so I think intersectionality has been there, you know, before academia opened their eyes to it. So I think it's there. And the reason why I say the Black community has to walk toward sexuality is that they have to strip the master's thinking around disability. You got to do that first before getting to all these academic terms. So really, it's going to take an education outside of higher education, going into the community, going into the Black community, really talking one-on-one, and, you know, so that's why I say that.
And maybe just if there's no other questions from participants, maybe then just a final question. Shivanji wrote into the chat, hello, I recently started studying disability studies in academia and feel that institutionalizing this conversation has made it too complex for me. I am grateful that Amanda, Leroy, and Sophie spoke with such strong community-based and historical conceptualization. My question is, which model of disability might you support or prescribe to in your work, especially when trying to work with non-disabled people who still pity us or see us as medical and anomaly? Is the concept of having disability models something that we shouldn't have? And then Amanda is also raising her hand, so maybe then Amanda can, Amanda, do you want to start responding, and then you can all, then the rest can chime in, and then you can ask your question. Oh, sorry.
Então, falar em português mesmo. Pelo que eu estudei, né, o modelo social foi uma grande revolução por entender que a deficiência só existe num contexto social. Eu devo ter nos livros aqui que tinha uma ilha, um lugar que tinha um alto nível genético de surdez, né, de vários níveis de surdez, e a língua daquele local é tanto falada quanto sinalizada ao mesmo tempo. Então, lá, ser surdo ou deficiente auditivo é uma questão tão irrelevante quanto a altura, né? Tipo, uma diversidade, né? Eu acho que, inclusive, existe esse termo no espanhol de diversidade funcional, né? Que eu ainda não vi oficialmente aqui no Brasil, em português. Mas, assim, né? Só que aí ainda tinha um certo... que ainda não estava completamente bom esse modelo, porque a premissa é que se você mudasse a sociedade, todo mundo iria funcionar da mesma forma. E não é bem assim, especialmente quando você fala de pessoas neurodivergentes ou que têm deficiências que realmente, assim, a gente tem que também mudar esse paradigma para entender que a gente tem, sim, algumas coisas que não vamos fazer igual aos outros, que a gente tem diversidades, né, e que o objetivo não deve ser todo mundo fazer as mesmas coisas sempre, né? E sim apoiar os direitos humanos que foram tão dificilmente conquistados, precisou de guerras mundiais e coisas horríveis acontecer para a gente ter os direitos humanos, né? E a gente entender que, né, essas questões de querer mudar a pessoa, de vê-la como doença, de querer corrigir, botar ela dentro da normalidade, é uma afronta aos direitos humanos da pessoa com deficiência, né? E é isso que eu digo de modelo baseado em direitos humanos, né? Um exemplo bem básico aqui, né? Se você tem um prédio e que o acesso a ele é apenas por escadas, uma pessoa cadeirante está sendo negado o seu direito de ir e vir por causa da falta de acessibilidade, né? Se a pessoa que é não oralizada, que ela não usa a fala para comunicação, ela não tem acesso a alguma comunicação alternativa, seja linguagem de sinais, seja comunicação alternativa, de tecnológicas, né? Isso está sendo negado o direito dela, né? Infelizmente, eu não sei todos os direitos humanos decorados, né? Mas tudo você pode ver como uma negação dos direitos humanos, que eu acho que esse é o mais completo, né? É o direito à autonomia, direito, né? A tomar suas próprias decisões, o direito de ir e vir, o direito de pertencer em sociedade, né? Então, eu acho que esse é o modelo mais completo na minha opinião.
Leroy and then Sophie, I think you can chime in after. So, but first, Leroy, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. I think, well, under capitalism, there's no human rights, unfortunately, because that's capitalism. So we have to be honest about that. But, beyond models, is this really, what, disability justice talks about, human life outside of the courtroom, outside of our legal rights, because, what's going on today is that our rights are not being implemented. We have rights on paper, but our government is not implementing it. So what do we do when the government doesn't implement? That's what disability justice comes in and says, we could, do for each other and, learn about oppressive, models, oppressive ideas. The medical model and the social model doesn't deal with racism. Right? A lot of disability leaders talk about the social model, but it doesn't deal with institutional racism. Doesn't deal that a lot of disabled organizations are run by white women. So what does that have to do with people of color? So I really think it's really up to us to push our government to implement our laws, because we have laws on paper. We have the UN treaty, we have all these laws, but they're not implemented. So we live in a capitalist world that deals with laws. I mean, that's where we live. And unfortunately, if we have to live in this kind of society, then we need to push our government to implement what's on paper. If the school has stairs, and that school should be sued because that's against the law. So yeah.
Sophie? You're on mute.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And that is very classic question about disability models. In my presentation, I mentioned I'm so inspired by the UK's model shift. So from medical model, social model to affirmative model. So affirmative model that is change our mindset and avoid to place all the people in the victim or victimize our experience. But in fact, there is no perfect or absolute correct model. I also think social models can bring us to realize the social structure beyond all the discrimination. That is correct. But in the UK, disability arts and human rights movement, arts and human rights cannot be speed up, cannot be observed respectively. And so I think art can be model, or art can be the medium to change our society. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm getting rushed to also wrap it up. Thank you so much, Amanda, Leroy, and Sophie. Please, if there's any other questions, you can email it to us and we will try our best to get any answers. And I know that we were super rushed today. In the next conversations, we actually have more time, and we've taken Ross's feedback to put breaks between the speakers. I know it's a lot to digest. So thanks for bearing with us for our first day, and we're extremely grateful to the speakers. It was very dense, and there's a lot to unpack, and yeah, but a lot for us to, I think, unpack in both intellectually, but also in our practice, and turn it into lived politics. Thank you very much. We will make this available after we edit it. All right, see everybody hopefully on Thursday, where we come back for the next conversation with Smita to talk about open prisons, and Yuvia to talk about education with different vernacular communities in Oaxaca and Turtle Island. Thank you. Bye.